Saga Metals has just kicked off a major 15,000 meter drill program at the Radar Titanium project in Labrador, and they're targeting a maiden resource estimate in the second half of 2026. Now, the company is also advancing uranium and lithium projects across the country. Joining us is Mike Steer, who runs Saga Metals, to discuss their exploration strategy and what investors should watch for. Mike, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you've got four projects across multiple commodities. That's titanium, uranium, lithium, and iron. Why spread across these multiple metals?
Yeah, so when we incorporated Saga Metals back in 2023, the objective was to target top tier mining jurisdictions in North America. And so that, really have a high potential for critical minerals. And we felt that in the long term, that's the best way to drive value for our shareholders. So with that, we knew that lithium was obviously strong in James Bay within Quebec. And our Chief Geological Officer, Michael Garrigan, had a very strong thesis that Labrador was very overlooked, very underexplored, and had high potential for these critical mineral projects. And so we were able to pick up 4 properties within a very tight-knit space that we can manage from a central hub. So, keeping our costs down, our efficiencies in check, we can continue to operate these projects either in back-to-back programs or in some cases simultaneous programs. And again, be able to offer our shareholders access to a suite of commodities rather than specializing in just one.
Would you say that Radar right now is the current focus of the company in terms of priority?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, drilling here, the 15,000 program 15,000 meter program I referenced, points out the Trapper Zone where you've started drilling.
Correct.
But you've actually drilled Hawkeye earlier this year. How do the two zones relate to one another, and why move to the Trapper Zone now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Hawkeye Zone for us, the reason why we targeted that first earlier this year was that it kind of came down to some of our highest samples initially were coming out of that zone. Location-wise, it was right near the road. So to do a winter drill program, access was obviously important. And, we were able to hit 2,200 meters and come out with great results and essentially confirmed what we thought to be the beginning of the oxide layering strike within the central part of the property. So now moving over to the Trapper Zone, the reason for that is that we were starting to see much more intense magnetism out of our geophysics that we conducted. We were also having obviously the same consistent mineralization within the samples. So the thought process there was that this is starting to look like it could be even bigger than the Hawkeye Zone. Not to mention, if we're able to confirm that there is mineralization in a substantial way, we would now bookend 16 kilometers of the oxide layering strike that starts at the Hawkeye Zone and kind of wraps down around under towards the Trapper Zone, kind of like a horseshoe.
Right. And in terms of the number of holes, it's about 25 to 30 holes at Trapper, which is more than what was done at Hawkeye. How will this get you to that indicated resource next year?
Yeah, so right now we're targeting about 6 to 10 holes before the December break. Right now, I'd say based on the pace that the team is working, we'll probably hit that 10-hole mark. And then moving towards the 25 to 30 holes heading into the new year, that's what's required essentially to get that resource estimate fully conducted and completed. You have to hit a certain level of structural measurements and we obviously want to test the entire zone so that we can put a mineral resource across as great of an area as we possibly can. And so we've mapped out a grid with 100-meter spacings over the 3+ kilometer Trapper Zone that will be able to give us the most robust indicated mineral resource that we can possibly do in that area.
Well, in your corporate deck, you've compared Radar to China's Panzhihua, which is a key district for rare earth elements in that country, plus other large tonnage systems. What kind of grade tonnage profile do you need across Hawkeye, Trapper combined to make this economic in Labrador?
Yeah, so in that district in China, they obviously have a very similar geological setting, being this vanadiferous titanomagnetite, or VTM for a simplified term, which is what we're hosting here at the Radar Project. So for us, it was obviously a very, very simple project to look to. They obviously also have 1.3 billion tons, so it's something we endeavor to become in the future. The differences that we find is that already what we're seeing in the mineralogy is that we have a much more simplified profile. And so that's kind of setting the stage for a more simplified metallurgical process down the line. Of course, more work is to be done, and we're conducting that right now. But we're already seeing grades that would be consistent, obviously, with what they're seeing over there. And in some cases, we're actually seeing higher grades. And so, for us, it's not just the grade that's going to make this or define this in sort of economic terms. It's also the infrastructure. We have amazing infrastructure. We have road access right into the heart of our mineralized zones. We created a 4-kilometer access trail right over the trapper zone, allowing for a very efficient, cost-effective drill program for this maiden resource estimate. Down the line, that obviously also factors into the infrastructure required to actually get ore out of the site, being able to be shipped very easily along that road, and not 10 to 20 kilometers away from our main mineralized zone is the town of Cartwright, which has a deep water port, a local airstrip, and of course a local labor force, which we already employ, and has been supporting our exploration initiatives on the Radar Project over the last 3 years. So it's kind of all of these factors put together. So yes, grade is obviously super important. What's your concentrate over the resource? Not to mention what's the metallurgy, which again we're working on right now and is moving in a very positive direction. And then also obviously your infrastructure to actually be able to develop a mine site should it get to that stage. And so we feel that all of these elements put together make a very exciting, very high potential project in Labrador, which obviously is not known for some of these characteristics.
And now talk to us about money. Do you have the funding in place to complete everything through to that resource estimate goal next year?
Yeah, so earlier in October, we secured funding to be able to conduct and just initiate this major drill program. So all of that's already in the bank. And will take us into the new year. We currently have a life offering, a listed issuer financing exemption offering underway right now, being led by Red Cloud. It's going very well. Books are still currently open for a little bit longer here, nearing our goal of reaching 5 million. And if we oversubscribe, that's fantastic. And that funding that we secure there will enable us to obviously continue the program and finish it probably by the second quarter of 2026.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to leave it there for now, Mike, but appreciate you being here, and we'll keep following the Saga story.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
For us watching, you can always go to CEO.CA and search Saga's primary ticker symbol, which is below for you, to go to the company's dedicated board where the community is talking. Thanks for watching.